What are your thoughts on Drew Brees coming back for one more and then
Speaking of not retiring,
right?
Drew Brees.
Yeah.
And then what are your thoughts on Bridgewater? What is Bridgewater going to do? So let's start with Brees.
Well, hey, Brees is giving the late 30s, early 40s would-be retirees a bad look. I mean, like, you know, if Brees is working, I got to keep working.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah. I mean, I never thought he was really going to walk away. It seemed weird that he was, making it a. Although I think he handled it really well. Like he basically said, he told everybody, "Listen, it's either the Saints or I'm out." His agent Tom Condon, they've had, in previous years, have had some sort of, headbutting with the Saints as it relates to contracts, and it just seems like this is not going to be a thing. I mean, they're just going to come back, figure it out. And I never bought into the idea that the Saints were just going to flip the switch and go to Taysom Hill. Like, what are that 48 to 72 hours where people are like, Taysom Hill? He's a franchise quarterback. It's like, what are we doing here, people? Like, he has 13 career passes and he's 30 years old. Like, maybe you can design an offense around him. I don't know that it's going to be something it's not going to be. He's not going to just take over from Drew Brees and just dominate. Drew Brees is a Hall of Famer. So I thought Brees, it was interesting last year because he missed 5 games in the middle part of the season with that thumb injury, and I thought he looked as refreshed as he has in like the last 5 years down the stretch. So that's interesting, like how he'll look later in the year. I think they should try to, keep the wear and tear on his arm down, keep him from getting injured, run the ball with Alvin Kamara, maybe bring in another running back to complement Latavius Murray, get that offensive line going. Andrews Pete's a free agent. But I think the Saints are one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the NFC, if not the entire NFL. So I like the move by Brees to come back for sure.
Yeah. I just can't get out of my head how bad they were in the Vikings game in the playoffs. I mean, they were just awful.
Yeah, I mean, I almost feel like I know that they were terrible. I almost feel like you could just put that on the pass rush for the Vikings. Though. I mean, Everson Griffin and Danielle Hunter were just playing with their hair on fire, and just Brees didn't have any time whatsoever. That defense played exceptional, and I mean, it is. I mean, like, look, the one thing I'll say too about that is we saw the Packers from 2013 to 2015, I believe, lose 3 straight playoff games on walk-off losses. The Saints have now done that. The Saints are the second team to ever do that behind that Packers team, and it really took a toll on that relationship with Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers. Brees is a little bit closer to the end, so maybe it doesn't have the same effect. But I mean, that psychologically, that is difficult to lose 3 straight years like that in horrific fashion.
Right. All right. So Bridgewater.
Yeah, Pete Prisco and I talked about that on the podcast, the Pick Six podcast today, and it's we were sort of going back and forth. I mean, I think Teddy will. I know there's a report out there from like Jeremy Fowler, my buddy, who says that could get $30 million. I mean, all due respect to Jeremy, I don't think that's going to happen. I think something in the range of like a Nick Foles contract is probably more likely. 22 and a half, maybe up to $25 million, and it really all depends on what happens with the other quarterbacks in this, in the domino effect. Like if Brady stays and the Chargers decide they want to draft somebody and Tannehill's tagged and Rivers signs with the Colts, all of a sudden this game of musical chairs, I don't know what happens in Oakland, but like all of a sudden this game of musical chairs stops and Teddy Bridgewater is out on the market without, a whole lot of suitors. And so that would be, a little concerning if I was Teddy's agents. I actually think Oakland would be a better fit than people have really talked about with Teddy because, the system that they want to play in. I don't know if I buy the connection to Tampa Bay. I actually think Indy would be a good fit for him as well because you can run the ball a ton and do some play action. But that market for him is going to be fascinating to see because a lot depends on what the other quarterbacks do.
Mm-hmm. Joined by Will Brinson, senior NFL writer for CBS Sports. You mentioned your partner there, Richie Prisco. I think he put out a top 100 NFL free agents list. And one thing which jumped out at me, Derrick Henry was 25 and Melvin Gordon was 40. What does it tell you about the state of NFL running backs?
They're devalued.
You just don't want to pay them.
Yeah. I think Pete actually has a brother named Richie Prisco.
He does.
Yeah, Richie.
Yeah, Richie Prisco, Paulie Prisco, Petey, hey,
Richie.
Yeah, I think they really do have all 3 of those. They're a wild bunch. But I think it pained Pete to put Derrick Henry that high. Like in his perfect world, he'd leave all the running backs off completely. But yeah, I mean, like Melvin Gordon killed himself with that holdout last year, right? I mean,
right.
It's like Austin Eckler. The offense was more efficient with Austin Eckler out there, so it's hard to imagine a team really paying whatever Melvin Gordon thought he was worth. Henry to me is the interesting one though, because he even, I think he topped the magical number, Football Outsiders 370 number, that typically you see wear and tear build up and a real fall off a cliff after running backs hit that number. And I don't like to pay running backs either, and I wouldn't give him $18 million or anything like that. But if there's ever a guy who feels like he might be the exception to the rule, isn't it Derrick Henry? Like, he's so big and so strong, and just like the more carries you give him, the better he gets.
Yeah.
At the same time, if I were the Titans, what I would do is I would franchise tag Ryan Tannehill, and I would transition tag, because you can use them both in the final year of the CBA. I would transition tag Jack Conklin, and then I would just see what Derrick Henry could get on the market and be like, look, man, like, no offense, but we have to keep the tackle here. We got to have the quarterback. See what you can get on the market. Let us know. We will, we still want to sign you, and then see if you can bring him in on like some kind of discounted deal, because I just don't think there's going to be a team out there who's willing to give Derrick Henry, $16 million a year or whatever it is that he wants, $18 million a year, whatever it is that he wants to top Zeke Elliott. I just think at this point there are too many teams who either A, don't need a running back, or B, understand the market is just, you just don't win by paying running backs a ton of money.
Right, and GMs have seen the money that's been given to guys like David Johnson and Todd Gurley, and the diminishing returns. Basically, as soon as those guys sign those contracts, their production falls off a cliff. So they're not going to be in a hurry to overpay Derrick Henry.
If you look at the top 10 list of running back contracts, it's like 3 rookie deals, Saquon, Fournette, and Christian McCaffrey. It's like 4 just complete albatrosses, like David Johnson, Le'Veon Bell, Todd Gurley, and one other I'm missing. And then you have Zeke Elliott, who just got paid. And then it's like Deion Lewis and Giovanni Bernard. And you're like, what? Why? What? Why? What? How? And like Duke Johnson. You're like, what?
Right.
Why are these guys in the top 10? What's going on here? And then like the fact that the Titans have Henry and Deion Lewis as a top 10 paid running back is a little insane. So yeah, I mean, I just think, they'll probably end up transition tagging Henry, and that would not be a terrible move. Like, they should try and sign Conklin before he gets to free agency. He won't do it, but you should try to do that. Franchise tag Tannehill and then transition tag Henry, because he has to, with that transition tag, another team has to come in and make an offer sheet. Henry then has to agree to that offer sheet, and then you get the chance to match. So it's a great deal at the running back position, because you can force someone else to set the market, and if they go lower than what Henry wants, but he wants to get the guaranteed money and he signs it, you can still get him for a great deal.